Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it, man. And intuitively had you on because you're a man that I aspire just to meet, but also because you have these characteristics and qualities that I aspire to feel within myself. Yeah, so there's a lot of different qualities that you've portrayed through your posts on how to be a healthier, stronger man when it comes to maybe not just dating. I know you're specific, like that's your niche right now, but also just in life in general. Introduce like what motivated you to ignite this into your life?
Sometimes there's a destination that men really want. And sometimes it's not just, oh, I want to be healthy. Sometimes like I want to acquire the woman of my dreams. I want to have this amazing partnership. And that's more motivation for them to put their lives together than just being healthy. And so that's what I kind of realize is like, well, let's use that motivation. Let's attain that. But then let's also reap all the benefits along the way of the things that guys don't even realize that they want until they start to live that way. And they get to see that, whoa, there is so much value. There's so much silver lining. There's so many byproducts in this. And so that's how I kind of evolved into the niche. And it stemmed from a lot of personal experience, like 5, 6, 7 years ago. Would have never thought that this is what I would be doing. But I'm happy that I'm here and I'm hell-bent on doing something with it.
It is interesting to see some men, like maybe they don't have their nutrition or their exercise figured out, but as soon as they find someone that they love and they have like a kid, it's like everything starts to kind of coalesce into order.
Yeah.
It's like, I have to now.
Yeah.
It's not just me anymore.
Women are generally more attracted to men who have a mission, not a man whose mission is to acquire them as a partner. We have to have a purpose every day when we wake up. So if you acquire a relationship, okay, then what? If you get married, okay, then what? If you have 3 kids and that's all you wanted, then what? It's like you kind of lose steam. Right. I do think it's healthier than not to have a continuous mission or something you're always sinking your teeth into. And that might change through different seasons of life. But I think there's a reason why when we see elderly people go into these homes or their care forms, that the minds just shrink.
I saw one of your pinned posts on Instagram was like dating advice. You just like whip this like bottle on right behind you, it shatters, and it's like, don't drink on the first date, which I highly agree.
I went on 54 first dates in a year when I decided I was ready to find a relationship again. And the first few, I was like, I don't really want to drink, but if she's going to have one, I'll have one. So I don't make her feel bad. But I realized I don't really like this. I don't like this feeling. Why do I feel like I need to do that to accommodate? I was like, oh, this is the overly agreeable side of myself, than the side that I was trying to kill off. So after a few dates of like, you know, the girl wanted to have a drink because she was nervous. I was like, oh, that's a nice thing for me to do. I was like, you know what? Feel free to drink, but I'll get a mocktail so that way we can, you know, clink glasses or whatever. Yeah. What started to happen is women would change their order. And instead of kind of having this anxiousness because I was leading the way, they would get a mocktail with me and like, oh, that was really nice. And then they kind of settled in. And so it's interesting because it's not even about the alcohol so much. It's an example of leading. Even if you're not sure if there's a future with this girl, it's our responsibility to lead by setting the tone.
I had a lot of dates, you know, at girlfriends growing up, but it was very short lasting. I had one that was like 3 years. I left because I knew within me that I had to change something. Not just something, it was like my lifestyle. So many aspects of myself I had to work on. I don't know, like I kind of entered into the relationship as a lower sense of myself, and I like loved her for the wrong reasons. And
sounds like you're setting your foundation, and there's nothing wrong with that. So this is more for like maybe a word of caution to the audience. I see a lot of guys who feel like, oh, my foundation is not set, so I'm not going to date. And I would actually advise against that. Like if you are on the road to setting your foundation, that's enough of a foundation to be dating. Because if you go back to the repetitions piece, if you say, oh, I have to get to this point, then I'll start dating, it never happens. And there's different seasons too. So that's a question everyone should always ask.
It's very subjective.
Exactly. But I see a lot of, especially younger guys, that think they need to build the castle, they need to accumulate all this wealth, and then they'll find the right woman. It's not an order of operations. I think it's more nuanced than that. Being too nice up front is like the worst thing you can do for the people you care about or the people you're starting to get to know. And so I just like to think that because I'm a long-term thinker, have my frame and my structure, I challenge myself for the long term. My relationships would like it to be for the long term. So whether it's friends or romantic interest, like the more reasonably disagreeable you can be, I think the more that you're having the courage to love them properly.
If you want a long-lasting, healthy, soulful connection with someone, I think that's a good strategy.
My rule for myself on the 54 first dates was like, do I see a future with this woman? If there's no chance of a future, I will definitely not entertain that idea. And also, I don't want to ever force that. Whether it's a first date or a second date or a 10th date, you're always kind of playing off the cuff. And she's giving you signals, you're interpreting those signals, you're giving her signals. So it should always obviously be like consensual. Nowadays with men and women, it's not uncommon for both parties to kind of be jonesing for that level of intimacy pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I can't really speak from a woman's perspective, but I can say from a male's perspective, it's like if she's giving you the signs or explicitly saying like, I want to get to this level of intimacy, you need to ask yourself, it's your responsibility as a man to be like, am I experimenting with the chemistry side of someone that I see a future with? Or am I, again, driven by lonely energy, a darkness, a lust, whatever it is? And find the origin of where the desire comes from.